Are you ready for change?
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait!
Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
You're listening to the Mr. Change Agent podcast with your host, Ron Ovitt. He's the director and founder of Empower Ministry. He's a pastor, counselor, recovery coach, and author and creator of Emotional Relearning. And we've been talking a lot about habits, learning all kinds of things. This has been really interesting, Ron, and I know last time we got carried away quite a bit. So much about habits, and I'm sure my own curiosity has amplified the program a little bit. But let's get back to where you were and give us some more examples of how to break or change. Is break a wrong word? Is it break a habit or change a habit?
Break a habit or change it. I like change because sometimes we substitute, so you're making a change. Sometimes you just got to break it. I didn't substitute anything with the nail biting, for example, that I talked about.
The same
it just extinguished after
you
a
talked
while.
earlier about caffeine. Now there you substituted.
Yeah, and with caffeine. And well, let's get into that. Let's talk about that. What we talked about in the last podcast was that you want to take and deny the legitimacy of the cue. I don't have to listen to it. It's faulty wiring. This isn't real. And so I don't have to listen to it. And so I decide to ride the wave. And
let me interrupt here. Now, you're not telling the audience that when your brain tells you danger, Will Robinson, not to listen to it. I mean, our brains are there to show us scary situations, fear. Our brains do a lot of good. You're talking about habits. When the brain says, I gotta have it, that it's basing it on maybe a wrong premise or a false premise.
Right.
I mean, the brain is there to warn us of a lot of things, and it does good. A lot of you smell fire, smoke, you get out and leave.
Sure.
But you're saying that same function of the brain will tell you you need things because it's something that's become habitual.
Right.
And you're saying that's the lie, or that's the
Sure. There's a monster in the basement at one time that was real to you. You were a child. You were thinking emotionally. Now you get older. You decide that you want to go in a basement and you pause for a second, you know. Mm-hmm. What's interesting is when we raise children, it brings up a lot of our own stuff. There was a woman, for example, that had her 3-year-old or 4-year-old was going to teach her a tricycle to go down the driveway on training wheels on a bike, right? And so she gets there at the top of the driveway. All of a sudden, she just has this panic attack. And she just, starts breathing heavy and everything. And she's got to run, got to go. And her chin started hurting. She got this pain in her chin. So she told her girl, not right now. And she didn't know what was going on. Well, she got on the phone with her mother and was telling her the craziest thing happened. I go to take my little daughter, put her down the driveway, and we're ready to go. And all of a sudden, I had this, fear, this panic came over me, and my chin was sore. And the mother says, well, honey, don't you remember? He said, what? Well, when you were 3 years old, we took you on your bicycle, and we were going to take you down the driveway, and you went down, you fell, and you hit your chin, and cut your chin. And so here's this, years later, having a child of her own, going through the same thing, and the brain brought it up. Well, a lot of times when those things come, it was a legitimate fear when she was 3 years old, but it's not a legitimate fear later. And so we have to discern. Discernment has to come in. I mean, sure, you hear a loud noise coming at you, and it sounds like a truck, you get out of the way. So sure, it's there to protect us, but so much of what we fear is faulty wiring. I mean, I work with anxiety all the time, and fear, and a lot of it is so illegitimate, and it comes from stimulus response. It comes from beliefs, self-beliefs from childhood, a lot of it, and so we have to be able to figure it out and discern. But you're right, if the brain is there to protect us, and so we want to be protected.
I just thought of something.
Okay.
When you're a kid in elementary school, the gym is so big.
Right.
I mean, it's cavernous. I mean,
Sure.
Oh my gosh, the basketball net's so high, and I can barely make it across the gym. And you go to junior high, and and high school, and you come back to your elementary school and go and say, "What is this? A closet?"
Exactly.
And what was huge to you as a kid,
Right.
And if you hadn't gone back, you'd forever think that was the biggest gym in captivity. It wasn't. You were a kid, and you're saying we carry fears that maybe, a dog barked at you, and the dog was twice your size because you were a kid.
Maybe bit you.
Yeah, but but the dog was huge because you're small. You're 6 foot now, and that dog's small, but you're still looking at it like a kid.
A lot of times when I teach, I'll go up to someone at a table there, and I'll say, "Do you mind if I work with you here and illustrate something?" No, and okay, I'm going to yell, so don't take it personally. And I go, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm standing there sitting in a chair, and I say, "Did you guys get that?" "Yeah." I said, "Now watch this." And it gets scary because I'm older now, and I pull out a chair and I stand on the chair, which. And everyone laughs. But now I'm in a chair, which is only putting me 2 feet off the ground,
21 inches,
or something like that. So now I'm looking down, and inevitably I said, "This is what a child feels like." And you should see the look on the face of the person I'm doing this with. They look up, and I said, that's the world from a child. And so a lot of times when these things happen as children, they get amplified. The trouble is that child in us is still alive. And so a lot of the things that we fear are really childhood fears, and we need to get rid of them.
Very good, Ron. Now, I probably took you a little off course. We're here talking to Ron Ovitt, Mr. Change Agent podcast, and you're talking about how we can substitute or change or stop different habits. So continue.
Yeah, so we were talking about denying the legitimacy of the cue. Another one that we can do is substitute the behavior. And I already illustrated that last time with my nail biting, right? Here I have this tingling in my fingers. And what I decided to do instead of biting the nails is I rubbed them on my sleeve, rubbed them on my shirt, rubbed them on the pant legs or whatever to get rid of that tingling. And what was interesting about that is that within a day, the tingling never came back. Now, the tingling comes when my nails get longer, but it doesn't come out of nervousness or anything else that I associated with the cue. So that was extinguished by changing the behavior. And a lot of times we can do that. What other behavior will get us the same reward? In this case, the reward was the tingling stops. And so for those kind of things where you're going to stop something or you want to be comforted, for example, what else will comfort you besides that cake, What other ways can you get comfort besides porn? What else other ways can you get, this? So a lot of times you can say, okay, if I'm looking for that reward, and it's a legitimate reward, now that's the result of that, then what other behavior will fit? So that's another way. So stimulus, change the behavior, and I still get the reward, or amplify the reward. A lot of times it's excitement, but how much better to have satisfaction. And so intimacy with sex is satisfaction. The thrill and the porn and stuff like that is excitement. And yes, we want excitement. However, if it's illegitimate, it's causing damage, then we need to change the behavior and figure out something else. And so changing the behavior is another way. The last is to, of course, change the reward. And I kind of mentioned that already in a way. Substitute satisfaction for excitement. What other kind of reward is there? What would be better? For example, when I wanted to quit sugar and carbs, the reward that I was getting from that was they tasted great. It tasted great. It brought me satisfaction. Wow, I got a thrill of it. Wow, that tasted good. It was momentarily. It might calm you down a little bit or give you a high, whatever it does for you. But then I started thinking, yeah, but I'm 30 pounds overweight, and I don't like the way I look. So the reward I had to put in mind is that I wanted to get back to within 10, 15 pounds of high school or whatever. A lot of people, the majority of people can get back to 15, 20 pounds within, which as an adult, that ain't bad, I want to get back to size whatever in my pants, And so that had to become a reward. It was an immediate reward, but it became a reward. I substituted that short term. Now, what I also substituted, though, was the behavior. I got some sugar-free stuff that I could eat once in a while that tasted halfway decent, and substituted it for the sugar thing. And so that even took care of some of that. And so it's a combination of that. So I think two other ways: delegitimize the thing to begin with, the cue, change the behavior, change the reward. So yeah, those are the kind of ways that we can start changing the behavior. I'd encourage our people to go ahead and get on our YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos there. We have some courses they can look into. A new book called The Habit Challenge, that they can look at. We've got a lot of stuff on this, and look for some of our courses too.
Well, thank you. You've been listening to the podcast, Mr. Change Agent, with your change agent, Ron Ovitt, president and founder of Empower Ministry. Join us again. Tell your friends about it. Make it a habit. No pun intended. You listen to us right here on the Mr. Change Agent podcast.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Please share this with others. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of the future podcasts. I look forward to seeing you at the same time next week. If you want more information on things that we're doing, you can go to ronovitt.com. That's ronovitt.com.